So what are the best things about being a developer and the worst things about being a developer? I think the best part is that it's almost like adult Legos. You get to build things and create and be creative, and I think that that's really awesome, and you always get to be learning as well. So that's the part that I love about being a developer. The part that I hate or dislike is that sometimes the community can feel a little bit exclusive, especially towards people who don't fit the mold of a typical developer. And I wish the community was a little bit more inclusive, but I think that there are a lot of people doing a lot of great work in that field. So hopefully in the future, that won't be true anymore. Open source and personal projects, how do I have time for those and the energy to work on those after work hours? And I'm really lucky right now in that my role allows me to almost do those personal projects as part of my work, because as long as I'm building with my tool AWS Amplify that I work with on a day-to-day basis, I do get to work on kind of what I want. So I'm really lucky to have that. But I think part of it is just having the motivation and wanting to really build something for myself, and so that's how I've had the time and effort to do that in the past. Something that I've struggled with is doubting myself, whether that means quitting computer science in college, which I did, or undervaluing myself to the point where I was way underpaid, or thinking that I just wasn't good enough and so I should probably work into being in a different field soon. I think all of those things were big mistakes that I made and things that I wish that I could be better at overcoming. But a lot of it is working on confidence and getting that positive reinforcement from other people and seeing my growth over time. Like that document that I was saying of tracking my wins, that has been really helpful to come back to. And so that's something I would really, really recommend to people to start working with. Also to find my kind of niche within programming and doing more of the community and people-based side of the tech industry, that's helped as well. I love coding, but I don't necessarily know that doing it 24/7 as my full-time job would be the way for me to go personally. Seeing my community grow and my blog and my side work, and for a while my company We Learn Code, which houses my blog and all that, was actually making more than I made at my day job. And so seeing that grow and having something that I had total ownership of really blossom and something that was just me, seeing that be successful was a really, really great thing to have, and something that I'm really proud of, because it required like coding knowledge, teaching knowledge, but also just business knowledge. That's not something that necessarily goes in the developer job by default. And so I think the ability to bring all those skills together and make it something successful has been the thing that I've been most proud of, but also knowing when to step back a little bit from that too, and the ability to have more balance, which I do now. I think that that's been a very different side of it, but also something that I'm proud of, that I don't need to work 24/7 in order to be proud of myself. So my story is a little bit weird. I started off coding when I was in college, so not when I was really young or anything like that. I took a computer science class just because it was the class that fit in my credit hours that I needed and fit in my schedule well. So that's the only reason I started coding. But I thought it was so fun that you could type something into the computer and the computer would do what you told it to do. I thought that that was really magical. And so that was the first time I fell in love with it. I struggled a lot more from there, learning C++ and data structures and algorithms. It was much more difficult for me. And so I quit for a while. But then I was working at a job and I realized that I could do a lot of my tasks by automating it via Python. And so I was able to be a lot more productive than I could have been if I was doing everything manually. And so that was the second time that I fell in love with it, was I can make myself so much more productive by using code than I could do by doing my work from hand. So seeing the business use of code and seeing its ability to speed me up, that really made me want to be more of a developer and ended up allowing me to transition into the field.
Thousands of developers find jobs across Europe using Honeypot. If you're up for a new challenge in one of these European cities, sign up at honeypot.io. If you want to see more tech documentaries, then subscribe so you don't miss the next one.